on the bench is this Kenmore 1703, 17033 actually, and it's got the semi-automatic clutch on it, but unfortunately it is not releasing, so we're gonna have to get this open and degrease it and rebuild it. So first step, and I looked up a couple of ways to do this. There's a tab here, tiny hole to get this cover off, and I'm gonna just work my way in here with, once the edge is lifted, and pop that, and it looks like I got, this machine has the actual aluminum or metal brushed cover on it. There were reports of all kinds of different covers on here, but with that cover off, this screw can come out of the end. And the hand wheel and the screw are out. And then top has to pop off and get set aside, and then the end cover here comes out so that we can see that clutch more clearly and get it off the pulley. That cover is very spring loaded, obviously. Now, since this machine has the clutch locked up on it, it's kind of worn on this bottom belt, so we'll see if it drives okay or if the belts have been gone bad, but I'm gonna loosen the motor and pop the other upper belt off, and since I've loosened the motor, we'll pop the bottom belt off, and could be worse, but maybe we'll find a replacement for that since we're in here. Tough part is these belts are harder and harder to find, and this top belt looks good, so maybe we just have to find the one tiny little belt. But anyhow, now this is supposed to slide off of here now. Alright, I'm gonna get some penetrating oil and a bit of heat on this and see if that can slide this off. Got this off. So you can see in here, the inside there's not a lot of places for purchase, and this slides on there, and this piece here is delicate, so there's not room to pry behind it very easily. But now that we have it off, I can scrub all the old grease and oil off of this shaft, and then this line here at my finger, that is all corrosion and old oil. That should be sliding, because this black ear is supposed to be able to slide in, and this it is rotating a little bit now, but yeah, this is supposed to have a much better clutch action. So we're gonna pull this apart and strip all the old grease out of it and then reassemble it. This also has a plastic gear. The notations I read, sometimes this whole piece is cast and machined, or like this one, it's got the brown plastic gear that is molded or pressed onto the outside of that ring. So it's the other thing you have to be careful of. Don't be prying around on that plastic when you're trying to get this off. Right now, got this clutch on the bench, so I'm going to start by taking off, oh, that's too fat a bit. Let's get our skinnier bit. I'm going to remove this tiny screw that holds the spring in place. Of course, this is all spring loaded, so hold on to everything. There we go. And this has a pin on the end of the screw as well, which is, I believe, yeah, that's a pivot for the clutch there. The spring is stuck on the other end of this pivot bar here. So make sure we set those screws someplace safe. And now each of these three big silver screws needs to come out. Alright, that one loosened. That one loosened. Alright, and third one's a charm. And that one came loose. Excellent. Honestly, I was afraid that those were going to be much tighter in there, but those are supposed to, they've got those slots that they're in. They're supposed to slide in the slots, which they're not doing. So we're going to take those out, and then I'm going to check and see if this third one that's got the black piece on it is different from the other two. Because I would not be surprised if there was a third, if there were two, and then the third one was different. So that's the one here that has this latch attached to it. And then here's one of the other screws. Yep, and that one with the latch has a taller shoulder on it, so we gotta keep remember that when we reassemble this. Alright, now those screws, this is turning freely, but all that gunk in there is holding everything together, because this should have a sandwich with, and this come apart. So that crusty old oil stopping this from popping apart. Yeah, thumb pressure is not good enough, so I'm going to take this and get rubbing alcohol and penetrant right on this seam here to get that waxy buildup. Out so that we can get this apart. Alright, as you can see, with gentle prying and rubbing alcohol to dissolve the goo, I was able to work that free. I was letting the rubbing alcohol soak in and remove the gum and grease and goo in here. And now that I've got this off, I'm going to take my 800 grit sandpaper, just polish this up inside so that if there's any scratches or goo remaining in here, then we'll wash this out real thoroughly before we reassemble everything. So this came out like so, had a washer in here. This is a fiber washer, it appears. This is all sticky, gonna have to clean that off. I will not apply a ton of alcohol to this because I don't know if that'll affect the fiber or not. But now with the top off here, we can lift this cover plate off. You can see the clutch in here is a very, oh, and there's the rest of the hand wheel flywheel, but the clutch is a roller with a spring, so when the clutch lock that you engage pulls this roller away from the edge of the race so that it can't get stuck and drive the machine. And so we're going to have to slide that gently out, and there's not a drive tire in there, but we'll need to clean that and polish that race. And then we'll need to clean this off very thoroughly. And here's the spring that pushes on that roller, and we'll have to clean and degrease all of this before we can proceed.